All right, someone requested that I do a couple of these types of problems just so they see a few more, and so I want to share it with everyone. Here's a case where we have two triangles, a little bit of missing information, and they want us to find the sine of f plus g here. Now, it might be tempting to go through this and say, well, what's angle f or what's angle g, and then subtract them and then take the sine in your calculator. And that's not really how we want you to do this problem. It may not match up if you're doing multiple choice, or it may not give you the answer we want if it's a free response question. So what you're wanting to use here is a sum or difference formula. So remember, with sine, we're going to say sine cosine, and then same sign plus cosine sine. And then we're going to put them in there just like we see f and g. Cool thing is, we don't really need to know f and g to figure out this problem. So the next thing I do need to know, though, is what is the cosine of f, the sine of f, and then the cosine and sine of g. So we need to figure out these sides. So using the Pythagorean theorem, we say 12 squared plus 16 squared. Square root it, you should get 20 right here. And then 15 squared minus 12 squared is going to give you 81. Square root it, and you'll get 9 right here. And this will allow me to say, okay, over here on this triangle, the sine is the opposite 16, or say the sine of f is the opposite 16 over the hypotenuse 20. And then the cosine of f is going to be the adjacent 12 over the hypotenuse 20. And both of these reduce, so I'm going to reduce them. Let's see, 4 will go into both of these, and I get 4/5. And 4 will go into both of these, I get 3/5. So the sine of f is equal to 4/5, and the cosine of f is equal to 3/5. Then over here I want to do the same thing. I'm going to say, what is the sine of g, and what is the cosine of g? So opposite over hypotenuse, I get 9/15. Adjacent over hypotenuse, I get 12/15. And both of these reduce. I got 3/5 right here, and then both of this will be 4/5. It's just coincidence we get 3/5 and 4/5. Normally it doesn't work out to where they're both the same, but it does in this case. So we get the sine of g, let's see, here's 3/5. And the cosine of g is 4/5. G and f must be complementary angles here. So multiplying these, we get 16 over 25 plus, don't forget about that plus symbol right here. Let's see, 16 over 25 and then 6 over 25. And now we can add these two together, and we get 22 over 25, which is our sine of f plus g. All right. You try this next one. Oops, that's actually wrong way. Try this one out. Pause the video and give it a try, and then we'll work through it. So once again, we've got this sum or difference going on with sine and cosine. And in this case, we're dealing with cosine here. Remember, cosine's formula is a little bit different. It goes cosine, cosine, opposite sine, and then sine, sine. So if you look back at this last one here, the way I look at it is cosine's always in the middle, and then we always have the same sign as we have right here. And then you always go, whatever's listed first, f, you list that first, and then whatever's listed second, g in this case, you list g second there. Same thing here, except for, well, it's not quite the same thing, but the pattern is a little bit different. You go cosine, cosine, sine, sine, and opposite sign in the middle, but we're still going to do the same thing with the f and the g. F, G, F, G, or whatever they're using for their variable there, that's what we're going to do. So I need to figure out what is the cosine of f, what is the sine of f, and the same thing for g. Find the sine and cosine of that. So using Pythagorean theorem, we get this here to be 30, and this right here is 10. And so if I find the sine of f, that's going to be opposite over hypotenuse, or 16 over 34. And then the cosine of f is going to be adjacent over hypotenuse, or 30 over 34. And so this will reduce to 8 over, what do we got here? 15 plus 2, 17. And then this reduces to 15 over 17. 17. And so cosine of f is 15 over 17. And then the sine of f is 16 over 34. Oops, I'm putting in the non-reduced part, aren't I? 8 over 17. And then come over here, we want to do the same thing. Take the sine of g and then the cosine of g. So cosine of g gives me 8 over 10. Sine of g gives me 6 over 10. And this reduces to 3 over 5. And this to 4 over 5. Cosine g gives us 4/5. Sine of g gives us 3/5. And a plus sign in the middle there. So 15 times 4, that gives us, what, 60? And so here 50 plus 35 is 85. So 60 over 85. And then we get 24 over 85 right here. Adding those up, I get 84 over 85. All right. If you got any more questions, just ask me in class, but hopefully that helps you out with that.